The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business podcast.
Hello, everybody. This is Jeff Bear. We are once again at the Mesa Chamber of Commerce promoting Mental Health Awareness Month. And today we have with us the wonderful Tawnya Christensen from Fellowship Square in Mesa. Tawnya, say hello to everybody.
Hello, I'm Tawnya Williams Christensen. I'm the Assisted Living Director at Fellowship Square Mesa, and I'm so happy to be here today.
And what does that assistant director
do?
Yeah, what do you do when you go to work in the morning? And
I go in the morning and I oversee the operations of how we care for our residents, advocate for our residents, train our teams, help people understand the why behind what we do, and help everybody understand that living on the residents' terms their way is a super important way to live.
So let's get into a little bit about Fellowship Square. And the reason I want to do that is because there's a person that Tawnya is related to that's also there, the executive director, John Scott Williams. And a lot of what we're doing today is because of a conversation that happened with him a couple of years ago about caring for the caregivers. I was talking to John Scott one day and said, would you be interested in getting involved in a mental health awareness program? And he shot right up and said, absolutely. And I thought he was going to be talking about residents. And his response was, my caregivers are the ones that need it. When they burn out, I have no firewall anymore.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the caring for the caregiver concept?
So when it comes to caring for the caregiver, we really have to take each person, each situation into account. Every caregiver has a type of independence about having a struggle and asking for help. And so helping our caregivers work as a team together, helping our caregivers ask for help when they need it, being there for them, especially in any type of family situation or unique personal situation, helping them through those things through different counseling, different opportunities that we provide our team is really, really important. Helping empower them, training them, giving them as much encouragement as possible. And we really like to do positive reinforcement type training skills, empathy type training skills to help people understand what the resident's going through so everybody's on the same page.
So if the concept basically is if the caregiver is having some issues from a mental health standpoint, how can they possibly take care of the residents? And maybe we need to back up a tiny bit and give a brief overview of what Fellowship Square is and the population in terms of, who lives there, how many residents and who live there, who lives there.
Fellowship Square Mesa is a not-for-profit organization that is a resort-style living for persons 62 and older. And we have independent living, we have assisted living, we have subsidized living, and we have memory care or secured living. And the whole idea is to bring people together in a community and provide purpose. It's meals, it's housekeeping, it's purposeful activities that's available through volunteering or through giving your time in different areas. In assisted living, the residents need maybe a little bit more support, such as transfers or medication management, maybe showering. They need a little bit more support in taking care of their daily life activities. So finding ways to make a person feel purposeful and finding ways to give a person comfort is how we help people thrive. Helping our staff understand that by being there for them helps the resident feel taken care of, respected, honored.
I would guess I could call it firsthand knowledge from, my experience talking to John Scott at length and visiting the property multiple times. The thing that to me is absolutely the most impressive part about the leadership there is the desire to be the leader from a technological standpoint, because the thinking is essentially, if we're giving our residents the best technology possible, they have a better chance of living a longer, healthier, happier life.
Correct.
Get into that a little bit, would you please?
So
Thanks.
John Scott Williams is a visionary when it comes to using different technologies. He's brought all different types of technologies on campus through different grants. We have the Alexa, which is a community system very similar to your Alexas at home, but it tells us what the menu is that day. It tells us when the mail came in. It tells us when a Western show is on. It tells us all those different things. We can just ask it. It also can change the thermostat, so you don't have to get up and move around, and that's a focus in preventing falls on campus. Our newest technology we're using now is a radar motion analyzer system. It's a AI technology, and it sits on the ceiling, and it analyzes your motion all day and all night. And it tells us how well you're sleeping. It tells us how strong your gait is. It tells us how well you're moving around throughout the day. And if there's some struggle there, if there's some frailty there, it will turn on an active guard alert. And so anytime an assisted living resident moves at night between 10:30 in the morning or 10:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning, it lets us know for those fall risk type residents. We're able to get to the resident before any type of fall happens. We started this in July of last year, and we were averaging about 20 falls a month, and now we're down to 2, because we're able to proactively care for our residents based on the data this information's giving us. So this is a tool, just like taking your vitals or understanding how a person's temperature or blood sugar works. This is another tool to give us data to help us get to the resident in a proactive way versus a reactive way.
Well, one of the things that's really impressive about this is that it is a device that's not put into a resident's living space without their express permission.
Correct.
So they have to understand what's going on and approve of it. So the reality here is that it's an electronic monitoring of movement.
Correct.
And your staff is alerted on their, is it iPhone?
A cell phone, yeah.
Cell phone. If there's any kind of irregular movement, is that how it works?
So basically, there's no camera, there's no recording device, but throughout the day, as it analyzes your motion, if you meet criteria of being considered a high fall risk, it will turn on your active guard alerts. Those active guard alerts go directly to our caregiver's cell phone. This is just in the assisted living area. We don't do this in independent living, but in assisted living, this is how we can proactively stop the falls.
What do you learn from your residents? You know, it's not just giving them housing and feeding them, but what do you take back in terms of learning from them?
Residents are our great, or in my case, my greatest teachers. They teach you how to care. They teach you how to speak to one another. They teach you how to help when it comes to, like, you're doing a transfer. They help you how it works best for them. They teach you to be a better human every single day. My mom always tells me that volunteering and serving others heals all within, and serving the residents and learning from their history, learning who they are, learning why they feel the way they feel about certain politicians and different things. It's a really great experience, and I consider it a university of education, learning from the residents.
So Tawnya.
Yes.
I understand you're going to join us again on May 28th for another webinar.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
So Copa Health, along with Fellowship Square, the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and a ton of other organizations putting together all kinds of initiatives for Mental Health Awareness Month. One of the initiatives that we're really most proud of is how we've grown our webinars and the people we have on those webinars. So you were on last year,
Yes.
and the subject was caring for the caregiver. You're coming back this year. What's changed in the last year?
In my opinion, caring for the caregiver is more important than ever. Taking care of people that care for others is a super important topic. For some reason, in caregiving world, asking for help is it's just looked as a weakness. Just like sometimes people think mental illness is a weakness, but we all know that when it comes to mental wellness and mental health type situations, these are all superpowers within us, and how we learn to manage them is super important. So caring for the caregiver is very important to me. This year, I'm really wanting to tackle the isolation pandemic that we've been going through based on prior pandemics. So helping caregivers know that somebody's there for them, somebody's willing to pick up groceries once in a while, or clean a house, or just come by and sit and talk for a couple of minutes, be there to vent to. It's just important to me that I know that caregivers know they're not alone.
How do you deal with a person that's, say, beginning to have either Alzheimer's symptoms or dementia, and you know pretty much that they're at some point might be a candidate for your memory care facility? How do you approach all that?
It's important that when you're starting to see symptoms of any type of decline, that you get in and see with your provider, your doctor, to make sure your doctor can give you all the tests that there are possible. A lot of times decline comes from an infection in the brain. Sometimes it comes from like a delirium type thing. Sometimes it's not anything that can't be completely treated and come back into a normal spot. But sometimes when the decline starts happening, it's best to get as much support and as much education as you can, so you're able to tell your loved ones exactly what you want and how you want it. So when there comes a time that you're not able to maybe speak for yourself, that your family knows exactly what you want and how you want things managed. Do you want to be in a memory care? Do you want to have one-on-one care? How do you want things to move forward for yourself? And it really takes off a lot of the guilt and the questions off the family when it comes to getting that stuff pre-made, pre-done, getting your paperwork handled.
How do you work with the families on that? It seems like it's such a delicate area to deal with. First of all, your resident, and then they may not see what you see on a daily basis. How do you approach that?
In my training, it's always been to meet the person where they are. It's not something that you want to like pop the denial bubble. Many people need denial to get through very difficult situations. So it's really about meeting the person where they are and helping them see that you are here for them at any time that they need you. It's also helping educate that this is not a character issue. It is a health crisis, just like a heart attack or kidney disease or liver disease or prostate cancer. It's exactly the same thing. It's not an assassination to your character. It's just a disease that you're going through. And there's so much support out there and so many different resources that can really help you through this difficult walk. But each person has to be approached differently because each person sees things differently. So it's really a kind of a case by case, using your intuition on how you're going to make those kind of conversations happen.
Are there support groups at Fellowship Square for that?
We don't have a support group currently, but we do have resources of support groups in the area. I know that Elaine Yount does a support group, and she's an exceptional expert and supportive person. So there's resources out there that we can give.
Excellent. So in the last 10 or 15 years at Fellowship, technology, as we've been talking about, has just exploded.
Yes.
It's made life better for the residents. Has it made life better for you and the staff?
I would say that next to learning the approaches of care that I've learned through Comfort Matters, the technology with the Paul has changed my life. I attack issues and problems with data now. I'm able to stand strong when I'm advocating for a resident that may need a UTI lab or may need to be checked for some type of infection, because Paul is telling me that there's uncomfortableness during their sleep. I'm able to see how well people sleep and able to advocate, even changing medications around the different times we give it. Like, for example, a water pill, changing the water pill to 5 p.m. versus 8 p.m. Just changing it in that 3-hour time changes a person's way of sleeping. So being able to be proactive in caring for someone is so refreshing and has completely changed my mental health in caring for others.
And then to kind of wrap this up in terms of how does that affect their mental health by your being such a good advocate?
I believe that the stronger I am as a caregiver for the residents, the stronger the resident is. Typically, when I go in and do an assessment, I'll talk to a couple, and you'll usually have the couple focused on one of the persons in the couple, but the one I'm mostly concerned about is the caregiver. And the reason I'm concerned about the caregiver is that person that's struggling in some type of health crisis is only as strong as that caregiver. So the residents are stronger because the caregivers and people like myself are stronger mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
So there's a saying, pay it forward.
Yes.
We also had another member of the Williams Christensen family in here.
Yes.
Tessa was here.
Yes.
Talking to us about neuroplasticity.
Yes.
So you got to be pretty proud of your daughter.
So proud of her. So proud of her. She is pretty much a person that truly sees that people are humans, and she really wants to advocate for the mentally ill. She really wants to advocate for people with mental health issues because all people matter.
Tawnya, it was great being with you today. We so much appreciate all that you're doing for those lucky people over at Fellowship Square Mesa. And on behalf of Mesa Chamber of Commerce, thank you for being here as an advocate for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.